And now talking about the CBN's decision to start circulating the newly redesigned Naira notes. Of course, the affected denominations are now 100, 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira note. The CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele announced this at the press briefing on Wednesday. He said the notes were redesigned following a request from the federal government. The last time the bank redesigned the Naira was in 2014 when it changed the design of the 100 Naira note to commemorate Nigeria's centenary. Emefiele also stated that the redesigning of the Naira will make ransom payment to terrorists and kidnappers more difficult. Well, joining us to look at this is now Mr. Christian Isaac Anyalisi, investment and analyst. He joins us in a moment. And of course, we also be having Dr. Leke Ebenezer also be joining us. But now we have Mr. Christian Isaac Anyalisi joining us now. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Let me start by asking you what your position is on the move to redesign the top denominations, looking at 100 Naira, 200 Naira, 500 Naira, 1,000 Naira notes.
While I was going through this development yesterday, I understand that going by Section 2 of the subsection B of the CBN Act of 2007, that currency management happened to be one of the core functions of the Central Bank of Nigeria. Not only Central Bank of Nigeria, but every responsible central bank elsewhere within the economic space among countries. So to that effect, the sensitivity of the CBN to the need to redesign the notes, I think is coming at a right time if at the end of the day, policy implementation will be carried out with that level of efficiency that will enable Nigeria to benefit from the idea of the currency redesign, as it were.
Now, if you look at it, quite a lot of people have criticized this move, especially with regards to cost and the time frame between now and December 12th, the CBN gave it. First, I would like to ask how feasible is this? And secondly, if you also look at what other people are saying, or most Nigerians are saying, they also talked about the implication of this on the economy. But first, let's start. How feasible is this move between now and December 12th?
Well, speaking as a citizen of the country, I've not been privileged to, within adult life and professional life, to witness currency design. I'm not in a very strong position to speak on the feasibility of being able to carry out the redesign of the currency within the time frame that the CBN has given. But honestly speaking, the Central Bank of Nigeria has this responsibility, and for them to have been able to come up with a time frame of December 15th for the takeoff of the new currency, it means that they must have done their spade work. They must have put certain things in consideration. And it is also very possible that plans in this regard would have been made before the announcement gets to the general public.
And in regards with feasibility, of course, how feasible can this be? I mean, between now and December, take a look at some statistics that we have here. 85% of the currency in circulations are outside the vaults of the commercial banks. Data indicates that about 2.73 trillion out of the 3.23 trillion Naira currency in circulation was outside the vault of the commercial banks across the country. Well, I know that Mr. Emefiele claims that this, of course, is possible. Again, can this policy help fix this? 85% of currency are outside the vault. How much can the CBN rake in between now and December?
Well, usually targets are either met or unmet, and most times, for any strategy, there is a target, and it's either you meet the target or you might, as an individual, as an employee, or as an institution, you may fall below your set target for any particular objective or goal. But the important thing is when you're setting a target, you would have also taken certain factors into consideration. You will also try to ensure that your target is smart, it is measurable, it is achievable, it is result-oriented and time-bounded, as a matter of fact.
Okay,
so
let's talk about...
I think that CBN would have considered all of that, and that if they're unable to meet the target of reckoning the 3.27 trillion, which is the cash outside the banking system, they should be able to meet a sufficient level of that amount, which will also impact positively on the goals responsible for the currency redesign.
Let's look at investment-wise. I mean, quite a lot of people who have stashed their money or got their money stocked in Naira may, of course, may have to reconsider or reevaluate their investment portfolio at the moment. What implication or disruption will this bring into the investment space, especially those who are trading in securities? Some people have their money or portfolio in mutual funds and all of that. So let's get your opinion on that particular implication. What's going to happen to this investment or the money stacked in Naira or fiat?
The money being targeted is said to be money outside the banking system. And I can say that the money, the investments that with the mutual funds, the investments with whether closed mutual funds or pension funds and all of that are already tied to certain assets, as a matter of fact. But then,
so it doesn't have any implication, direct implication on those assets who are already tied around an investment.
It doesn't have to. If we're looking at currency that is outside the threshold of the banking system, it doesn't have to impact directly. But if we're looking at the possibility that that the currency redesign will bring in money into the system, money that has not been there already, then and possibly rein in inflation, we should be looking at a situation where there could be some positive cofactor implications for the capital market.
Okay, let's bring in Dr. Leke to have some perspective into this. Dr. Leke, thank you for joining us. I mean, hello, Mr. Dr. Leke? Okay, okay, I'm aware he hasn't been able to connect yet, but let me come back to you as a wrap up now with you. Going forward, what should investors do, especially those who are played in the fixed income, securities, equities? What should they do with this particular, policy? How will it affect them? Will it affect them in any way? How about also people who have saved some, level of, cash in the bank at the moment? That is not tied to any asset, any investment asset out there?
Well, I've earlier said that the currency in question, the 3.27 trillion Naira, is outside the system. It's outside the banking system. So if an investor, a potential investor, has his money inside the banking system, the money is there. And it is there for whatever purpose that the person is keeping the funds, whether for transactional purposes, for speculative purposes, as the case may be, for investment purposes. But coming back to the issue of how the policy is going to affect people who are fixed income investors and the capital market, equity investors in the capital market. You see, for fixed income investments, that is debt, usually when there is inflation, in terms of inflation, the monetary policy rates are raised. Recently, we saw a increase in the monetary policy rate from 14% to 15.50%. The aggregates like the cash reserve.
Let's try to wrap it up now, Mr. Isaac. Hello, can you hear me?
Expected. It's expected that there will be a positive impact.
Oh. All right. Hello, Miss. Oh, okay. I just, I mean, I guess this is where we just have to leave it now. You know, the interruption there, it's very poor. Thank you so much. All the same for your time, Christian, Isaac, and Yalise, securities and investment analysts. We appreciate your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we'll take a moment now, and when we return, of course, we'll look at the implication and the cost implication to this change of Naira notes. How much will it cost Nigeria? And of course, we'll look at some statistics to back our conversations here. We'll be back in a moment. Please stay with us. To look at another perspective now, Dr. Leke Ebenezer, an economist, he joins us now to look at it. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Leke. I want us to look at the cost implication, to this. But before them, let's look at some statistics and look at some graphs here. If you look at the amount spent to print banknote in 2016, that's about 33.3 billion that was spent. And in 2017, about 49.52 billion naira was spent. 2018, we have about 64.04 billion naira. 2019, we have about 75.5 billion naira. And 2020, we have about 58.62 billion naira. Now, with this newly redesigned note, of course, we expect, according to CBN, that from December 12, we should have it in circulation. And of course, the existing currency size to be, the existing currency will now ceased to be legal tender. First, let me ask you the cost implication to this newly redesigned banknotes before we look at other implications.
Okay, thank you very much for having me on the show. Like I always say, it costs money to print money. And of course, if you are looking at the implication of that on the economy, you might want to look at what are the positives and what are the negatives. For me, at this time, it is a wrong pursuit, given the fact when it comes to cost, we are talking about what it costs to do the redesign. And I said that because given the fact that the new budget is a deficit budget, and of course, a lot of money is going to be borrowed to finance the budget. And so we should be looking at issues that will not deepen the level of debt that we have or financial stress. But then, the argument of the government as to why the redesign of the new note, of course, are also very important. But then, if we are focusing on the cost, I don't think it's the right move in the right direction at this time.
Now, of course, we're going to look at the advantage of these as well. I mean, that's also an implication, whether negative or positive. But we're looking, the reason why I asked that question, if you look at how much, of course, the CBN paid in 2016, in 2017, 18, 19, 20 to print, if you put that together, that's hitting about 2 trillion naira just to print the banknote. It means that for this one particularly, the CBN is expected to also incur some cost on redesigning new naira note as well. Again, let me ask you, aside this cost implication to redesign naira note, what are the other implications therein in this particular policy on the economy?
Okay. The argument of the Central Bank of Nigeria is the fact that some of the reasons why they are doing this redesign is because they want to really improve and promote the cashless economy. Of course, they are also targeting Naira, and of course, they are also looking at controlling the money supply, given the fact that 80% of money supply is currency outside bank. And when you have that situation, it becomes difficult for the government to, it becomes difficult for the monetary and fiscal policies to be effective and efficient. And of course, in addition, that the issue of terrorism and banditry, of course, people pay ransom, and so that can help them to one way or the other tackle that, and of course, election financing to avoid influence of vote buying and the like. Those were the arguments of the government. But the implication is what is my concern. It's not enough to make policy based on some certain parameters. You have to consider what would be the long run, the medium and short run implication. And for me, I'm afraid, looking at the fact that the informal sector of this economy is about 57.7%, which is constituting about $1,116 billion to GDP. And so all of these people, one way or the other, are going to be affected. And I use the word they are going to be affected. We are talking about implication. And I use the word affected because the stress that is involved in the fact that a lot of monies that are outside banks are now to be taken to the bank to change them to the redesign notes. The banks, do they really have capacity to manage that pressure? Given the fact that even 80.4% of Nigerian employment is by the informal sector, and most of them are the ones that are using this money. A lot of money are not banked. And now that you want to capture all of this money, what is the effect on the informal sector of the economy and the people that are below the middle class? That is going to pose a lot of economic problems. And so for me, it's not enough to look at policies at the top end. You have to look at it at the bottom end also. And so for me, I don't think we are really ready for this, given the fact that instructions have come out to say, look, during this period, banking operation will be extended from Monday to Saturday, but there will be no charges for depositing the old money to collect the new money.
Okay.
But for me, the policy of the government should be more robust and address how the informal sector of the economy and people that are below the ladder will fare during this exercise. And that is my own major concern.
Okay. I mean, I was going to ask you one more question, but I'm aware we do not have, more time to discuss. But on a final note, do you think the new Naira note, do we have time for that to effect this change between now and December 12th? Do we have that time? Do we have enough time now?
We don't have that time. That's my direct and immediate response to that.
Okay, I think we have to leave it there.
The nature of our economy.
Okay, thank you so much for your time, Dr. Leke Ebenezer, an economist, joining us on the show this morning. We appreciate your time. You have a great day.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Thank you. All right, you're still watching Business Breakfast coming to you live from our studios here. Still to come after the break, of course, we will look at the issue of forex exchange rate and, of course, the crisis, which is also still rocking that particular segment of the market. We'll be back in a moment. This is Business Breakfast. Please stay with us.